In this special episode of Iconic Seasons Offseason, we're joined by a very special guest, the Anxious Rambler, who also happens to be my wife. As the NBA Finals draw to a close, we shift gears and deep dive into the world of music, exploring her fascinating journey through the sounds of the 80s and 90s. In this episode, we also get a glimpse of her storytelling talent as she reminisces about bands and songs that shaped her childhood and beyond, from the Gin Blossoms to Pearl Jam. We explore the lyrical depth and emotional connection that music brings. Tune in for an engaging conversation filled with nostalgia, personal anecdotes, and shared love for music that transcends generations. Whether you're a music enthusiast or simply looking for a heartfelt discussion, this episode has something for everyone. All right, we are here with an episode of Iconic Seasons Offseason, although the NBA Finals are quickly approaching the end. And I've got a very special guest to me, the Anxious Rambler, my wife here. And we've been talking about doing an episode forever. I've been wanting to get her on the show. So welcome to Iconic Seasons. How did I convince you to do this? We're going to talk a little bit about music today. I got you laughing already, which is good. And I want to start out with a softball for you, but this is always blows my mind because I'm older than you. I was actually born in the 70s. Mm-hmm. You were not, but somehow you have a knowledge of the 80s and 80s music that has always baffled me because I didn't really get into music until the 90s or later. And so it is like you are rediscovering music through me often. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to start you off there. How did you develop such a large database of 80s music information?
Right. Okay, ready? Okay. So I was born in 1982, so I was very young through the rest of the 80s. To the point where a lot of people don't even remember being 5, 6, and 7 years old. But on top of having an excellent memory, I have a lot of great memories from that time because my 2 siblings are quite a bit older than I am. My brother was born in 1971, so he's 11 and a half years older than me. My sister was born in 1974. She's 8.5 years older than me.
Just outing their ages there.
I know. Well, it's okay. I'm 41, obviously. I outed myself, too. So
proud of it.
My brother and I were really close. He treated me like I was almost his kid. We have a great dad, but my parents were older when they had me. Well, in their late 30s, which maybe then was a little bit older. So... my brother went to college when I was going into first grade. He was a freshman in college, but he would always teach me like new bands that he was into. And I think he always got a kick out of, like a 6 or 7 year old loving the Doors and Led Zeppelin. And then in the early 90s when he was in college, of course, I was like very pivotal and like Seattle grunge, and he was very into Pearl Jam, and so Pearl Jam was my favorite band when I was in like 3rd grade. And so I can't seem to place it.
We've been talking about their new album too, which I love. So if people haven't checked out,
it's great. They really haven't changed a lot either.
I know.
Sometimes bands over 30 years, especially the singer, their voice can change a lot.
Okay, so give me one of the things I wanted to do is you always have this storytelling arc to songs. So I'm hoping that you have a song in mind. Otherwise, I'm putting you on the spot and you'll just have to think of something. But a song that you want to talk about and give like a description maybe about what it meant to you or just some knowledge. Because you took courses on music. Did you major in music?
So I started out...
know this.
I know, right? So... Basically, at IU, I started out in the School of Education and wasn't happy doing that. And one of the many times I went through like a life crisis, I always turned to music or going to concerts or an album or something of that nature. And going into between my sophomore and junior year of college, I was using music and concerts, and there were a lot of new bands, like 2002, 3, 4, 5 new music coming out. So I did an internship with Capitol Records, but from school. So basically they would send me to concerts within whatever distance I was willing to go to, and I would promote the bands that were playing under Capitol Records, or bands that were maybe like a Capitol Records artist that people might like, that were similar to their artists. So anyway, I decided I'm halfway done with school, but I really want to do something with music. So I went to an advisor who set me up with the School of Continuing Studies and put me through to like the individualized major program. And basically I would have had to go almost an extra 2 years to create a music business major. So they advised if I go through the School of Continuing Studies and I minor in music, I can just take whatever classes I want and still get a bachelor's degree, do an internship. So that's what I did. So my last 2 years of college, all of my classes were different music history classes, music of the Beatles, music of Frank Zappa, music of Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, 60s and 70s, 70s
Future
and 80s,
episodes
50s
coming.
and 60s, right. So I had to take like some music theory classes and things like that, which I didn't love quite as much. But yeah, and I did an internship with a booking agency that owned some venues in Nashville. So that is am I talking too much?
No, you're great. Give me. So I'm going to bring you
stories.
back around
Yes.
to my question, because I got you sidetracked actually. But the storytelling, if you had a song in mind, just to talk about, to give everyone else a flavor of what I get all the time. We've been talking about a bunch even this week, which is great.
Yeah. Are you looking for a song from like my childhood, or can it be current as well?
Let's start with childhood in the 80s, because I wanted to talk about some of the other podcasts that we listen to and give suggestions on those if people haven't checked them out. But just a 80s song, or you can go 90s if you want to.
Okay, I'm probably not going to directly answer your question, but I'll go around about it. Okay.
Yeah.
You just want me to start
You just
talking?
go. I just let it roll.
Okay.
I don't stop.
This is what I wanted. I liked it. So, okay, I don't know off the top of my head, which probably sounds strange to you because I always have lyrics
where's that memory at?
and songs that mean a ton to me. But if I'm thinking specifically from like the 80s or 90s, so we just were talking about the Gin Blossoms, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, I know. We've been singing that along with Crowded House all week.
Yeah, so
you could see I'm in no shape for driving. Anyway, I've got no place to go.
I don't know specifically that, for example, Gin Blossoms lyrically have something super specific to me, but to speak of like as a kid, what music meant to me. So things that I love about music and lyrics are like lyrically, when songs, as cheesy as it sounds, literally speak to my heart. You know, lyrics are really important to me in music and all songs. Then in addition to that, when the lyrics hit you in the heart, that the music hits you in the gut. So songs like My Morning Jacket, you know, I love them. So I do love, there are a lot of like their songs lyrically that I love, but I think I've explained to you before, if a song makes me feel like, I'm going to reference Don Henley, Boys of Summer, probably many times, because I have another song in mind that I'm going to speak of that makes me feel that way. But, you know, in that music video where he's just riding in the back of a convertible and it's like Santa Monica Boulevard or something, or like in California,
Sure.
And the wind's just blowing. So if a song makes me feel like it's like a cool summer evening and the wind is blowing through my hair and giving you that feeling of just euphoria. And the words, you're just like, yes, they wrote this for me.
I swear
That.
you listen to the words before the music sometimes, which is always throws me off because before you, I don't even know if I looked at lyrics.
Yeah, you told me that. And I was blown away because lyrics mean I would tattoo my whole body in song lyrics because of how much they mean to me, which I do have song lyrics tattooed on me, but they're all from the same band, of course. And
we'll get to that. Save that.
That's probably like I said, be like a 10 episode series going into that. So
what song are you picking?
okay, I mentioned Gin Blossom, so we'll go with that, right?
Which one? Yeah.
Also, though, I could say any like Pearl Jam song too from 10, because without making this podcast 3 hours long, so I know I told you about the music school with my brother.
Yeah.
Right. So when my brother was in college, of course, he would come home and he had one of those massive early 90s 6 or 8 disc CD changings, like the system that you can use the remote and it changes the CD. And then he's got the like 2 big speaker towers. So he would be home. It'd be like Saturday. He'd be visiting and he'd holler for me, Cassie. And I'd be like, what? Get down here. It's time for school. And he would play a song, start at the beginning or in the middle. He'd give me like 3 seconds and he'd say, what is this? And I'd have to guess. My favorite memory, which is hilarious because I loved the Beatles. Even as a small kid, my parents loved music. My parents were born in the late 40s, so they grew up with the Beatles, same age as them. But he was playing hit play. I think like the first song he did was a Doors song. The Oliver Stone movie had come out when my brother was in college. So the Doors became, not that they were ever not relevant, but very relevant again to like that age of kids in their early 20s. I think it was like a Doors song and I got it right. And then the next song he played and I said, is this Sesame Street? And it was Love Me Do by the Beatles. The harmonica at the beginning.
Okay.
But
also, the Beatles and Sesame Street have undercurrent that shares some of the same things, right? The simplicity of it, but the beauty in it as well.
But what's great about the Beatles, too, is that people thought that they were, like, in the beginning, very wholesome and sweet. But a lot of their songs have very, like, sexual undertones, which...
romantic, at least.
I know very much about from my history of the Beatles class.
Yeah.
That I didn't get one answer wrong on any exam, by the way. So anyway, that memory is very vivid because it was hilarious, and the joy in his face, thinking like how funny it was, but also precious at the same time.
Just like me right now, it was like that's almost a right answer.
But I was so embarrassed because I was so proud of my music knowledge at like 8 and 9 years old that is when I officially became the craziest little Beatles fan in the world. Also, for my birthday that year, my brother got me the Doors' Greatest Hits on cassette tape. So I listened to that in my Walkman all the time. But yeah, so we would go visit my brother at least once a week, even if it was for a day, because I would cry at school. I would cry at night. I missed him. I would have to call him all the time. And I always would fall asleep in the car. I still do. My mom would always be like, she's the best traveler. She sleeps the whole way. But we'd get into Bloomington and she would be like, Cassie, we're here. And I would get my Walkman out and put my mixtape on. And it would be like, Hey Jealousy, Jeremy. And so when I hear those songs, I'm like instantly like transported back to being like 7 or 8 or 9 years old, driving, like right when you drive into Bloomington, now it's where we exit onto 69, but there's like a Steak and Shake. There's a Walmart over there.
Yeah.
And that feeling of just like my heart is going to burst and butterflies in your stomach and your head tickles and tingles a little bit. If music makes me feel that way, then yeah, that's all I need.
Yeah, I have to say that's something that you've done to me too. I don't think I had the time and place aspect of music as locked in as I do now. I'm almost more careful with my music. That's something that you have pointed out where you're like, I don't want to listen to this now because it means something, or it could lock this time in.
It's like
even in bad situations.
This
where we'll
isn't
be like,
a Saturday night
we'll
TV
avoid,
show kind of thing that I do.
We'll avoid something.
Yeah,
We're like, no,
I
not
can't
right now.
if I'm feeling a certain way.
Yeah, that's interesting that you then associate that Hey Jealousy when those songs with a time and have such a specific travel memory, and that's what I think is interesting about the way that you have used music throughout your life, that there's a depth to it that I don't have, but I think is really interesting. So I wanted to then just talk a little bit more about lyrics. I don't know if you have a lyric that you wanted to share, because I do think the way that you pick out lyrics to add meaning to a situation or to even to the song, because again, like I said, when I listen to music, I kind of listen to it holistically. Even you mentioned Pearl Jam, I can think of like singing along with those songs, but never even thinking about what they meant. They've got some pretty dark meanings to them. So, and I think there are different ways to listen to songs. And of course, I think that's what the artists want too. They want them to be able to mean different things to different people. But I don't know if you have a lyric or a song that in mind that really hits for you lyric wise.
I just had like 30 run through my mind. Also, how long is the whole catalog of every War on Drugs song? Because let's be real. Yeah. Of course, I have a million things from them. I also have a notebook upstairs with lyrics in it for tattoo inspiration. But one thing I will say, I do think in some ways like I'm kind of a music snob, but also I'm not, because I can appreciate any musician or lyricist, even if it's not considered cool. Like,
for instance, your One Direction phase.
One Direction, which stemmed from Harry Styles, right? I love Harry Styles.
I know. I actually
but
think
that's
you taught
what got me. I got into it like One Direction almost backwards.
Yeah.
It was at the very end.
Right.
But it was because of Harry Styles, and I knew they were breaking up and thought, I feel like this, and I told you that. I was like, I feel like he's not going to be boy band.
Right.
And he has done a great job. But like when I was in middle school and I loved Hanson, everyone made fun of me, but Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, everyone loved them. And I would always say, but Hanson plays their own instruments and writes their own music. So I have no shame in having loved Hanson.
Yeah. That's one thing you've definitely taught me, is to just appreciate the music for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm way less precious about music now than I was. Like, I had to only listen to a certain kind of indie rock.
Yeah.
And that was it. And if it was outside of that zone, I was like, no.
But, you know,
or very cool rap music, that stuff. But could not listen to pop music at all.
I'll be cooler with my lyrics in a moment, but one that I have heard the last 2
Bop
days
is the one you're going to use.
that has really stuck out to me, though.
Okay.
So we talked about Kaleo a few years ago, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That they had some songs that I liked, and they sort of fell off the map. And they might not be like the coolest band ever, but they do have a few songs that I like. But I did listen to one today, and there's a line where he says, "Life is anything but fair."
Though it's more than he can handle, life is anything but fair. Life is anything but fair. Oh, oh.
And I love that. Like it jumped out to my ear, and then it made me want to re-listen to that song. Of course, the War on Drugs. They have.
Why did you say it like that?
Because, well, I guess no one can see me, but it's just like, of course, I'm going to say the War
You've got
on
your
Drugs.
War on Drugs shirt on, NBA logo.
This is old school.
It is. You have to get that on Etsy now, and they don't sell it anymore.
Yeah, you and I have our thing we say to each other. I love you, babe, and I'll be there till the end.
Yeah.
And I was there, thinking on the shore. And I was there with the best sometimes. Looking out past the rubble. Pick yourself up all down the line. I love you, babe, and I'll be there till the end. And until then, you know it's crowded, babe.
In the same song, like wondering where my friends are going and wondering why they didn't take me. I mean, that, like, prior to I love you, babe, and I'll be there till the end, you know, that was like one of the first lyrics that jumped out at me in that song, where I was like, yeah, this is my song. Because especially around the time that Slave Ambient came out, which was the first version of
War on Drugs album.
Yes, the first version of Brothers that I heard. We had moved back to the town that I'm from in Indiana, and
Do you want to give the listeners a intro to the War on Drugs in case they've never heard them before, and why you
crazy if you've never heard the War on Drugs?
Why you like them?
Yeah.
I just think that music now is so diversified and so fractured that it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great
4
bands.
hours long if you ask me that question.
You know, that's fine. This is the point of.
How deep do you want me to go? Because I feel like that's could be a whole.
We can
episode.
come back. We can come back.
Yeah.
I meant just an overview, because you've referenced them a couple times now, and I think there's, again, you can tell by wanting to tattoo one of their lyrics on yourself that they mean a lot too. Sorry. So just maybe like hitting on maybe some of the 80s too that tied us in at the beginning of the episode, you know, some of their influences that you hear or that they've distilled in their music.
Sure. So I don't even know where to begin. So I think the music to my ear, it's like it's everything that I love. There's synthesizer. I love like the different effects on the guitar. I love that they can rock, like put 4 on the floor, but then also make you cry and give you that feeling of standing in the wind with the gut punch and the head tickles and your heart is aching and yearning for something else. But they have that perfect combination of making my ears and my heart and my gut and my soul feel everything that music. I'm gonna cry right now. Everything that music should make you feel, and at the same time, lyrically, they are that band that I'm always like, do they know what I need right now? It's so their songs are so beautifully written instrumentally and lyrically, and yeah, just the feelings that the songs give you with the music, with the lyrics. And then also the fact that, you know, they write the music from like real emotion and places they've been and experience. And I think because I am such an emotional person and have been through a great deal, I have, you know, some trauma in my past, and things that I will forever be working through. Hence why you called me the Anxious Rambler, because the podcast that I've been saying I'm going to start for 2 years now, just talking about, mental health and ways that I've worked on myself and what's worked for me. And may I use the term soul brother?
You can.
I do feel as though, in another life, we may have been soul siblings.
Well,
all of them, really.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've been encouraging. So I've had an idea for
too long?
a podcast for a while called. No, I wanted to make it longer. So this is my idea was called Straight Through, and I stole it from another one that's called Bandsplain. Great podcast, but they'll go like 3-4 hours on a band. But I was like, let's go even longer.
Oh my gosh!
So my idea was Straight Through.
We'll be here till 1 a.m. if we keep
listen
talking
to
about
each
this.
album straight through. And break down album by album certain artists. So Bandsplain goes like 4 hours and basically breaks down the whole catalog, but of course like shortens it because it's just single episodes, sometimes double episodes on certain bands. But they're pretty great. They're adjacent to a few others that I have really loved as I've gotten deeper into music. 60 songs that explain the 90s. I love. He's done 180 episodes now, which is hilarious, including a book.
We could definitely
to go with it.
Told you if I really enjoyed this too, that this could be like annoying.
I've gotten you into Rick Beato, the guy on YouTube. Mm-hmm. We watched The Professor of Rock the other night. That's how we got into the Gym Blossoms, and then Song Exploder. I love too, where they take the stems and do an interview with the artist, which I always appreciate. That was the one with Crowded House.
Oh yeah,
where they just break it down.
Finish your question because I got so into that, but I will answer that later. If there's a specific song, well, I've got a whole list of them.
You do? Well, yeah, now's the time. So, get into it. What do you got?
So before we started doing this, correct me if I'm wrong. You said you were going to mention something about like 80s music or songs currently that remind me of some of my favorite 80s songs.
Yeah.
And why.
Or bands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think, for example, like the War on Drugs are like straight 80s.
No, I wouldn't call them that either.
But I'm sure there's more than one, but specifically, since I'll start there since I've already referenced Don Henley, Boys of Summer, and have been talking about the War on Drugs. But when their latest album came out and the first single was I Don't Live Here Anymore. Mm-hmm. And I also came out at a time when I was absolutely, just overcoming a traumatic time in, 2020, going into 2021. Yeah. And one of the things we always talked about was, that we may live here, but I'm just so mentally checked out from this place. Sure. And then their single is I Don't Live Here Anymore. So of course I'm like, are you joking me? And I hear it for the first time and had to stop it right away because I think I told you that right away. I was like, what this is making me feel something. What is this? And it was that same sort of energy and vibe that Boys of Summer, Don Henley. And I think Adam sounds like Don Henley in his earlier, maybe 70s and 80s sometimes. I think the kind of sweet breathiness of the way that they sing.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. I think is very similar. And Don Henley, I love Don Henley.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Boys of Summer. Sorry, I hit the microphone. Boys of Summer is one of my favorite.
Yeah, I use the word not the same, but distilled, where it's if you want to make whiskey, you got to start with vodka and kind of distill. and get there eventually. And they are definitely a distillation of a lot of those bands that you've always talked about. They use some of the elements but create something new, like the wall of sound, the way that it comes at you is not the same.
That song specifically, I Don't Live Here Anymore, the way it starts, the like synthesizer. Love that.
Love that, huh?
And and that effect on the guitar too. What is that? You tell me that all the time because I love that so much. And I don't live here anymore. It's
like the reverb on it. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So
you love that in My Morning Jacket too.
Yeah.
So that is an old and a classic rock sound, I would say.
But just I'd
categorize that
as the start of I Don't Live Here Anymore, before the lyrics even begin, and the rest of the music, that right there, I think I heard the
I feel like you like the sense of a big room, maybe. Right?
I mean, like I'm grabbing my chest right now. And that's like, Boys of Summer doesn't have the identical sound, but it's that feeling.
Makes you want to roll the windows down, right?
100%. So that's one. Can I give you 10 songs?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah,
because I have a playlist of songs like this. Let me pull the playlist up. Okay, so Keep Your Eyes Ahead, Helio Sequence.
Okay.
It's that
the rhythmic or polyrhythmic.
I love the open hi-hat.
Yes.
Kind of like the dirty snare.
Yeah.
Like Sunday Bloody Sunday, You Too. I love
good reference.
The drums in that, and a lot of the songs that I like that are from maybe like 2000s, 2010s, 2020s that have that sound. So,
you got a dance background, so I feel like rhythm is always important to you.
Yeah. So
I don't know if that was an accurate representation.
Yes, it was. I know what I'm doing. I played drums.
I meant the sound.
It's the open hi-hat.
Got it,
I'm only doing a piece of it. I can't do all the drums
Okay,
at once.
okay, I got it.
So Keep Your Eyes Ahead, the Helio Sequence. Kim and Jesse, M83.
Okay.
That's that very
That's more synthesizer, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also, spacey, when it makes you feel almost like you get that outer spacey kind of 80s thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it I'm trying to think of that song. Is it the distant? Because again, I'm thinking more about the lyrics now too. Is it more this way that they space out the words in that?
Good point. And it's breathy too, which is very 80s to me.
Okay.
Okay, of course, then we have I Don't Live Here Anymore, The War on Drugs. Here we go. Stockholm Syndrome by
boy.
One Direction. Let me tell you, listen to it because it's got two songs that I love that it heavily reminds me of. And remember, I found a mashup of this on YouTube and was so excited. So I don't actually think that many One Direction songs are like, whoa, what a great song. Listen to the instrumentation and the lyrics. I mean, some of the lyrics are cute.
Yeah.
But it's more about, I loved Harry Styles. He was adorable. I liked his voice. I thought when this thing is over, he's going to do something far different from One Direction. And I was right.
He won't be on a laundry commercial like Backstreet Boys anytime soon.
There you go. So, but that Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which is one of my one of my favorite songs of all time.
Right.
And 80s songs. And then Cherish by Madonna.
Okay.
So it sounds a little bit like both of those.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily listen to
I can't imagine
Syndrome for the lyrics, and do you know how many people
song
who have made fun of me for being like, oh, you listen to One Direction? Well, later in life I did, and because of Harry Styles, but that I've shared that song with, and they've been like, I like this song. Who is it?
That gets back to your
But guess who
premise.
wrote that song?
Who wrote it?
Harry Styles wrote that song. So,
well, I can imagine their producers too are
Yeah.
probably closer to our age, and so maybe
Right.
have some of those references
Yeah.
like you, because they probably were music nerds growing up,
Yeah.
unlike me.
Chantel and I saw the One Direction's producer, who was also Harry Styles' producer for his first album, in Nashville at Barista Parlor getting coffee.
Oh, okay.
Recognized him from all those One Direction
The
videos
fact
I
that
had
you
watched.
recognize the producer,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
You'll love this one. Revelator
Oh
Eyes
boy.
by the Paper Kites.
Okay.
That is
Random
a
cut
fantastic
too.
song.
Yeah, you love that one. Yeah. Put in a snippet here.
Over me singing.
Well, around it.
Running on fire, showing love.
Only for a piece. Okay.
So the singing on that one, it does have some space to it too, but it is. They sing
It's
that.
the guitar.
They
It's
sing
the
that more with the They sing with
Yeah.
the rhythm a little bit more.
That's how Adam's guitar sounds sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
In my head, I hear it. Okay.
I got it.
You can keep it in there, but other people might hear
Okay.
it too.
No, I love it.
Do you want the next one?
Keep going.
You
Yeah,
like
you're doing
this?
great.
Run My Heart, Twin Shadow.
Oh wow. Should tell the twin shadow.
The
Should tell the
hi-hat.
twin shadow story where you first saw him. Or had
Yeah.
you seen him before?
No, we
DC.
saw.
I know him before.
yeah,
I didn't know if you'd
DC
seen him before DC.
At the.
You saw all kinds of bands.
Yeah, no, I
Funny.
hadn't seen them before.
All right.
They were all wearing like Fox Racing uniforms. Incredible.
Had a hi-hat that was like, what?
12 feet in the air.
Yeah, he was just like leaping and smashing the hi-hat.
He'd jump up and hit
Yeah.
it. It was so cool.
It was cool.
Who were we waiting to see?
Cool
Lord
stage.
Huron, I
Cool
think.
stage presence. Yeah.
After we had a little time, somebody else was playing that stage.
Not an 80s sounding band,
Who,
really.
Lord
Lord
Huron?
Huron.
I thought about it, but no. I considered them, but no.
Yeah. They're, I guess, more derivative of country, like a modern
Different.
country.
I feel like their first album and the second album went for like more of an old Western sound,
Yeah.
which I love both.
Yeah, like an updated
Those,
version of
yeah.
that. Yeah.
The
okay.
first two. Okay. I Feel It Coming, The Weeknd featuring Daft Punk. The music in that, also the way he sings too. You're going to have to play it to hear it.
Sure.
You'll hear it.
Okay.
You don't have to run. I know what you've been through. Just a simple touch, and it could set you free. We don't have to rush when you're alone with me. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, babe. I feel it coming.
Super Connected, Broken Social Scene.
Oh, wow. Deep cut there.
Yeah.
I just saw You Feel It in People just had 20-year anniversary. Isn't that crazy? 20 one of their albums had the 20-year
Broken
anniversary.
Social Scene?
I know, yeah.
Well, probably right, because
Yeah.
that was when I was a senior in college.
Yeah.
That album. Yeah. And that song. I remember liking, like driving to and from work, listening to Broken Social Scene. And then Alkaline by Paper Twin.
I don't even know. Well, how do I not know that one?
Okay. When you and I went to see Elton John
Okay.
in Nashville and then went to the Stranger Things pop-up bar, that song was playing and it sounds like the Stranger Things theme music. But vocally it's that almost like Revelator Eyes, because I thought it might have been the Paper Kites and it wasn't. It's, what did I say, Paper Twin? But like I do actually have a couple of Paper Twin songs in Apple Music, like in rotation, but that song specifically I've probably listened to 100 times. 2019, maybe more than that. You know, how
Probably,
I get with playlists.
I know.
Lastly,
All right.
not that I think this whole song is very 80s, but it's the way, I think like the chorus, it's the synthesizer and the way his vocals are layered in the chorus. Satellite, Harry Styles.
Not Dave Matthews.
Oh, God, no. No. Sorry, Dave Matthews is talented.
Yes, I
sorry,
know.
Chantel. Shawnee loves Dave
I know.
Matthews. My best friend loves Dave Matthews.
I think again. I only said it just because it's.
I listened to
It's funnier
Incubus,
for you.
and then she listened to Dave
I
Matthews.
listen to a lot of Dave Matthews. In fact, I could bust out some guitar satellite on the guitar right now if you need me
I
to.
forgot that was a song too. That
Yeah.
Harry Styles.
Okay.
Spinning around waiting for you to pull me in. I can see it lonely down there.
You hear what I mean?
I do. I know what you mean. Yeah.
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 It's more, there's a synthesizer in it, but then in the chorus,
I like how you worked
the-
Harry Styles back into it.
the way his voice is layered, right? I swear that he's not my favorite artist of all time,
no.
but
Yeah.
it's just more current, right?
I mean, I think he ended up good. Like I said,
Yeah.
Me
I was
20 years
way
ago
more
would
into
not
him.
have listened to him
Oh,
and
gosh,
would have
no.
missed out on good songs, which
Yeah.
is so stupid. It's just like,
I was very into him in like 2018,
Yeah.
2017. When did his album come out? 17? Yeah.
something like that.
And then it sort of fell off a little bit, but I love Harry Styles. Not in the same way that I used to, but I still love him.
Sure. What else you got
That's
over there?
10.
That's 10?
Yeah.
That's 10 songs.
That was 10 songs.
10 songs that explain the 80s.
Yeah. If you want current songs
with
that sound
current
like the 80s. Yeah.
current artists.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
What else? You want to go anywhere else here tonight?
Crowded House. Not that I have much to input on it, but I thought was that just the inspiration to do this when we listened to the Crowded House
Well,
podcast?
I had talked.
It was about Don't
Exactly.
Dream It's Over.
I was gonna talk about Song Explode. I talked about Song
yeah.
Exploder a little bit, but I didn't really have anything. I don't know anything about Crowded House.
That was not that I really do either, but I do Don't Dream It's Over. Was sort of where this whole idea started, because I was like, do you remember when I sent you that song when I was away from you? And like lyrically, I thought I heard it and it was like, listen to these lyrics.
That's
and
a great song.
Yeah, also,
Great story again behind it.
but I love that that's also, if we categorize favorite songs from decades, that's probably in there as well.
Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now.
But it has that Hammond organ,
Oh yeah.
which one of my maybe top 5 favorite, top 10 for sure favorite songs of all time, Whiter Shade of Pale.
Oh right, they use that too.
Yeah. And
They
do you
didn't
remember
even. The
who
crazy
else?
thing was he didn't even know what that
Yeah,
was.
the
That was
Hammond
just
organ is
like the producers like,
Yeah.
hey, we should put this in there, which is
Do you know
wild.
who else's favorite song, Whiter Shade of Pale, is?
Who?
John Lennon.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow. Makes sense.
Makes sense, right? For another time.
We'll save that story. Oh shoot.